it's working. Cool. Alright, well, now I gotta go to that one. I'm trying to hack the internet here. If I'm trying to stream to Periscope and YouTube at the same time, I wonder if this is actually gonna work. I mean, it technically should work. I just don't know how the upstream is gonna be on it. I don't have like crazy internet that can. I think I'm at like 8 megabytes a second upload. At least Periscope's really shitty quality though. Let's see, is this correct? Well, that seems to work. Quality though. All right, well, there's sound. That's good. Is this gonna work? Shush. Let's see if I can go live on Periscope here. I don't have that fancy internet, sir. Is it working here too? Oh my god, I'm hacking the internet. Hacking the internet. Alright. Fucking winning. How much do you pay for 30 megabyte upload? That's insane. Okay, I'm hacking the planet, ladies and gentlemen. Oh crap. Please use a keyframe force. God damn it. I gotta reset this up. Keyframe frequency 4 seconds or less. Currently keyframes are not being sent enough, which will cause buffering. Alright, I gotta just reset this one. I'm on Periscope though. Saying hang on, sorry. Which one's on this one? This is for YouTube. So what does it need? Keyframe 4 seconds or less. So confusing. There we go. I'll be back. Alright. Let's see. Is this gonna work better? Yes. And yeah, Alex, if you could tell me if it just gets really shitty or something too, that way I know if this isn't going to work with the double upload stream or something. At some point I'll have to do it differently next time. Alright, I'm just going to assume this is good. And I'm just going to start. Because it's going to save anyways for later. So I haven't looked at this song since I wrote it. And I don't know when I wrote it. I think a month or two, probably a couple months ago. So we're going to learn as we go through this. Because I have no idea what I did. That's percussion. I think this is all percussion. Alright. I actually just got Serum at the time when I wrote this, and like the bass line in this track is totally just a preset. I can't say I designed it because I didn't. But let's just start. We'll start with percussion because, well, I don't know, it's kind of the backbone, and then we can move to the bass and see what we got here. So it's this is a super straightforward song though. I mean, it's a 4 on the floor kick. There's not a lot to it. I mean, you got probably percussion, bass, some pads, some effects. I mean, yeah, it's really a really simple song. So, obviously the kick I've been using these a lot. The Dead Mouse kicks, I really like them. They're really well developed. They have a lot of depth, usually layered. I mean, you can literally just use them straight out of the box. You don't really need to add anything to them. I just throw them in a drum rack, which is in your instruments, not your effects, because that's not an effect. Put a drum rack on there, throw it in, boom, you play it, throw it in your MIDI. This isn't like super beginner, but programming your 4 on the floor kick. I have some EQing, literally just a 30 hertz cut. For anyone that doesn't know why you do that, just cutting out the sub bass because that takes up room in your mix. It's going to take away from being able, like later on when you're mixing and mastering it, it'll take energy out of it. You won't be able to get it as loud. So you want to do that on all your low end. Usually cut it at 30 hertz, or some people do 40 or 20. I just do 30. It's kind of the default. So we got our kick. Let's just solo our percussion here, but let's turn off and do one at a time and see what we have. I think these are my snares actually, so let's leave that. Right? Yeah, so I got a few different layers going on here with the snares. Let's see what. Okay, I guess I'm good. Let's see. Is it good now still? Fuck. Man. Well, I guess either way, I don't know what to do. I guess either way, if it'll just bounce down to a video on my page, and it'll actually upload totally fine after. So I might, because there's already people watching on the other one too, I might just go with this. I don't, unless you think I should just reset it, let me know, dude. So we'll go with this. I got my hats here, or my snare. So I have like 4 different sounds. All right, I went really crazy on that. I normally don't do this. I usually do like 1 or 2 tops. So we got, what is this? All right, so I have this. Is this like a duplicate? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I just have them panned. And if you can go here, you see I have a hard right pan on that one. I think, yeah, these are just 2 of the same. So I have 2 hard panned and then 2 in the center, which is kind of stupid. I don't really know why I did that. Oh, I think I wanted it to be more cohesive. Okay, that's why. So it gives it a lot more space and dimension because you have 4 of them, and then the ones hard. If you take out the ones on the right and the left, it's just centered. And then put these on, you get some more depth. I also could have just done this a different way and probably made it, well, yeah, I could have just put my widener on it, but I don't know. I just did it this way. I'm not really sure why. No EQing separately on them, which I really put this together really quickly and just kind of worked out. I don't think I went very detailed on this song. Literally some low cut EQ, why you would do that, because you just need to keep room for the low end. Like your basses and your kicks should mainly be down there. If you kind of start cluttering up certain frequency spectrums, it's gonna just get muddy and sound like shit and really amateur. That's pretty much what you do, and that's the thing with EQing. I put a little kick on the top end to give it a little more brightness. So if we listen to it, kind of sounds like shit without the EQ. And then saturation. I love this plugin. My friend claims he has a favorite one. I don't know what it is, but it's like a $200 saturation plugin. This is free if you go to SoftTube. I use it all the time. I really like this saturation plugin a lot. So I think I probably have, yeah, some swing on there. And I also have them individually like moved on each one so that each one's slightly different. I probably didn't do it all the way across. I probably did like 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and then I just copy and paste it back. So you kind of get change every time, which is nice. Like with the way they hit, and they'll accent each other differently. I have this sample, which I don't know what this is actually. I got it. I wonder. It's a clap that I reversed. Okay, and then just use part of it to slide in. So you get this. That's pretty simple. The percussion on this too is really straightforward, and this is the most. This is, I think, the most percussion that gets in it. Yeah, that is really. I don't think there's any more besides that, and it's just you kind of just start taking things in and out. But just to keep going with this. So we got our hats. Now I guess I just loaded up a drum rack with a ton of shit in it, and probably used 2 of them, right? Yes, and this is probably something stock from Ableton. I have the suite, so I don't really use Ableton stuff all that much, except for like the audio effects. I just don't. I don't know. I have a lot of software, so I don't necessarily need to use this stuff. So I got. This is cool. I like this noise a lot. That's cool noise. That is pan to the left. This one is just centered. No, all right. Well, what I did is then I panned it to the right, to the right here, and then this one is panned left. So it, I mean, you could have just done it all in this little thing here, but I just did it like that, and it kind of gives this weird. It probably gives this one a little more weird space to it because it's like panned twice. This is just kind of like little nuanced stuff that you pick up when as you do stuff, or you might just be lazy and do it one way where you could have done it another way. Again, not a whole lot of processing on this. I don't actually know if this is the final file, so I may have processed this stuff more heavily. I had like so many versions I couldn't figure out. As I save a lot, because if you don't, I've lost projects because of that. Ableton just fucks up and it just ruins your project, or you can't open it, or it corrupts. So sometimes I'll have like 30 versions, and like they're so similar, and I don't save them like in a clean manner a lot of times, which I need to start doing. So then like I just didn't want to spend like 2 hours figuring out which was the final one. So, but I mean, this was the whole final like layout of the project. So, anyways, I may have processed this a little bit more, but again, not a whole lot of processing in this version. It sounds fine. The song sounds pretty close to what it was from the mix. But some saturation on it, and I don't think, I guess if there's some new people in here, saturation, really, I don't even know how to define what saturation, exactly what it does, but I know what the effect it creates is, and it definitely, it does add a light compression, and it can add like grittiness to the sound. Because and if God, if we're gonna get really into the basics, compression basically is taking sounds and taking the lows and the highs and bringing them closer together so that the sound has like has a less difference between the loud components and the soft components. And in essence, you could totally smash something so the loud and the quiet components are basically the same volume level, but that sounds like shit and you don't really want to do that. So saturation does a little bit of light compression, and then it also can fatten up the sound. Quote unquote analog is the idea of what this is supposed to be modeled off of, so it gives it a warmer sound. And then here, I use this plugin a lot. I love this guy. Big into Stylus RMX. It's very outdated, but I think it has great. I don't want to open it. Well, I'll show you. It's very out of date. I'm kind of waiting for Spectrasonics to do an update on this thing. The loops sound really old because it is old and it hasn't been updated, but I mean, I think it doesn't matter. Like, you can have more quote unquote contemporary sounding stuff in your music, but just having this like old kind of outdated sound in the background gives it more character and depth to your song. That's a personal taste and opinion of mine. It's not fact, but you can use that as a tool if you think. So if we listen to it, it's just a hi-hat loop, and it depends sometimes. And basically what I'm doing, when you drag it out, it basically like loops out like this, and you can like re-edit these, like move these around, and it'll kind of change the pattern too, because it's always going to play this one component of the loop if you have it on the F sharp 2. So you could like move the F sharp 2 to here, and you can move this to there, and you could change up your loop, or you could just take parts of the loop out, which I do that way. Sometimes I'll edit this and like take parts out, leave parts in, reorganize it, and then I might just leave it like that. Usually a lot of times I bounce this down to audio, and then I wound up like re-editing the loop, or I take a bunch of stuff out. I usually don't leave the whole loop, but again, with this song, I never went into it planning to even write a song. I just was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck around with Serum, and then I like wrote this in like a day and a half. I wrote most of it in a day, and I was like, well, I guess I'll finish it because I don't know, whatever, why not? So I don't know, it was kind of interesting. Like, I really didn't expect to finish this, and then it got accepted by the Dugout, so that was cool. So that's pretty much it for the percussion. I know it's very, very simple. There's not a lot to it. This track is a very straightforward song. It's nothing fucking crazy, nothing out of the box, just a straightforward house song that kind of has a nice vibe to it, and it makes you feel good. So yeah, this is definitely not the mixed down version. I have no processing on the bus on this. Like, I would be probably running all of this through a separate bus and then processing them through different compressors and things to kind of get everything gelling better. I don't know what version this is. The number is ridiculous. 2.4.55555. It just, I don't know. It just happens. Let's see what else we have here. I got this. these effects from a loop pack that was free, and I wound up, my friend Future Access, or Jason, told me about this loop pack, and then I picked it up and wound up using it for part of the song. And I just kind of have it looping here for atmosphere, and I have it filtering up and down to kind of bring it in and out. And that, you got compression on it, EQ, and I have a sidechain compressor going on it to kind of duck it so it has more movement. I wonder, I should probably not talk while it's playing, because I don't know how well you can hear me, but I'll just repeat it just in case. Is there any questions or anything? Is this even working too? Alright, well, somewhat. So anyways, yeah, going back to this, you got filtering, which brings it up and down. We got, what am I doing with this? Oh, I have a delay on it to kind of keep it moving. Apparently, oh, I don't know where the delay comes on at. Where's that happen? Oh, just at the end, I guess, to kind of flutter it into the break, the little first break here, so it doesn't just abruptly stop. Create some atmosphere. So kind of just get it with your so that's it for that effect, and you kind of have it just in the, it might only be in the intro. Yeah, it's only in the intro. And then what else is in? Let's just go in the intro here and see what else is in there. You have your Rhodes keys. That is it. The intro is super fucking simple. It is an effect, percussion, and a Rhodes progression, like keys. That's it. Wow. Okay. Let's see. You know, but what makes it is really about music is creating change too. So in the intro, I'm just using the percussion as a change. So you have a pretty quick 4-bar loop, and then another 4 bars, and I add some new percussion in just to keep it moving so you stay interested, and then you drop into the breakdown. Also, I guess I cut the lows on the kick, which is pretty common in music. And you drop the kick in, it just enhances and makes it more interesting. Reactor boards. Okay, I think I've used a lot of fucking presets. I don't know if I designed any sounds for this, to be honest with you. I think I used all presets, which I mean, I've talked about this before. I design my own sounds. Sometimes I don't. I used to never use presets and always design my own sounds. Now I'm getting into sampling more, and also just I'm okay with presets. Like if I'm focusing more on songwriting and getting like a nice song that progresses along out, rather than focusing hours and hours on end on like the perfect sound. So I don't know. I feel like this is gonna drain my PC, and I'm not even sure if it's gonna play, because this is, oh, it's Reactor 6. It should be fine. So I think I'm using Rounds. I really like this synth. It's really interesting. It looks super complicated. I guess it can be complicated depending on how you use it. I don't really want to get too deep into this synth, but it basically has like 8 different analog oscillators, and then it has like 8 FM digital synth oscillators, and you can basically combine them together. And this thing turns into, like, you can use it as like a sequencer and like set different numbers to these sequences, and it plays around it and shit. This thing's really cool. It can get really dense, but it has a lot of nice sounds. This is just sounds like a Rhodes emulation, and I did like a very simple chord progression. What do we have here? C minor. We got a C minor to What are we doing here? Got a G, A. I don't even know. Technically, that would be. I probably have like I'm playing a ninth instead of like one of the notes, which that's different shit. I don't know what exactly because I'm not playing the whole chord. I would say it probably would be a G, but G minor's not in the scale. I don't even know what key this is in, what I played this in. Because that's technically not really a chord. Or is it? No, it's not. Well, oh wait, never mind. It's a D flat. Oh, I'm playing D flat major. All right. Sorry. I guess because it's not. Yeah, D flat major. We'll call it that. So I don't know what key I'm actually in here. I probably should have looked at least at some of this before I did this stream, but whatever. Back to a C. Is that just gonna repeat? Okay. So we do like a quick. Okay, so the first 8 bars. Then what do we have here? I think it's a diminished or something. F, A, C, or yeah. I'm probably playing like an 11th or something on this, and that's the thing about I don't remember what exactly I was playing because I have an interval of a second here, which is not technically a chord. So yeah, I mean this is a different topic though with chord writing. Like you could have a major minor, or if you go into sevenths and stuff, you have major minors and minor sevenths, but each of these chords too have tones that you can add to color them. Like you can add a ninth and a sharp 11th to major chords, etc., which this is like kind of deep theory, I guess. If you don't even know how chords work, I'm not going to get into that, but I probably, instead of playing the regular chord, just threw that on there to give it more color and tension and not other original notes. So that's kind of what's going on, but you get the idea that I have a chord progression. So we go do-do-do, we have a drop, so back to they're just kind of bouncing back and forth from that same, from the C whatever it was to the next one. Yeah, it's the same thing. I think the same here. Yeah, that's really it for the progression on this. And it's in the intro. You have the breakdown where it comes out, and then you come back into this first 8 bars again in this first drop in the section, and then I take it out because I start bringing in new elements. So if we just play through, because that's really the whole intro. I want to like, can I make this frozen? There we go. Alright, so I go and drop it in. I introduce this new element, which is a pad with another chord progression. Yada, yada, yada. So we go into another chord progression, filter it up. I introduce the bass that wasn't there before. This bass is a preset in... Oh, man. I gotta open my splice thing up here. It's the only thing I hate about this. If you get spliced through... not splice, I'm sorry, serum through splice, and use this fucking pay per month deal, like you have, I don't know if you can use this without internet. That's the thing that's really stupid. I'm like hoping that when it's paid off, that's not an issue. Otherwise, I'm gonna complain to them because it's really annoying if you need the internet to use this plugin. Ampology is the name of this preset. I don't know if I may have adjusted it a little bit. I'm not sure. It's a really nice fucking bass. And then back to using this effect. So really, it's pretty simple. You have the bass comes in, you're taking out the elements you had before. You do a little, what do you got? Eight bars here? 8 bars. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, we have 8 bars. Okay. Or more, is it 16? Yeah. So we add that, because that's just going to drop. Oh, no, yeah, we have the kick that comes in. Okay, so it's a really short break. And then I bring in the pads with a nice, like, slow up filter. It's a high pat or a high cut or low pass filter, and then I have the chord progression. You bring it up, and that's the only elements in there actually. It's 2 elements and an effect in the latter half of it, and then you drop back into the kick. And then really there's just a delay that's going to come on. This one I'm assuming is what's automated and is going to turn on, or is it on the whole time? It might be on the whole time. Yeah, it looks like it. I don't see anything that comes on at the end to kind of keep the tail going. But without that tail after, it would be really abrupt and not interesting, because that really, it has just this howling effect that drops into the next section, so it keeps you interested. I am a huge fan of this plugin. I love this delay. I use it all the time. My friend doesn't like it. I don't know why, but it's great. I got it for free when it first came out. Now it's like 50 or 70 bucks. So to new producers, keep your eyes out on the internet, because there's like, you can get free shit all the time that you normally have to pay for if you're just like especially during the holidays and stuff. You can get free plugins that companies just give away as like a, hey, thanks for looking at our page, basically, kind of deal. So I love this plugin. It's great. Fortunately, you have to pay for it now. I got lucky. Bass. So we go breakdown, bring kick back in, like no percussion, no, not even a snare or a hat. I really like not using like snares a lot, or like your claps or whatever. It just kind of creates a really nice drive in songs when you don't have them, and then when you bring them back, it kind of like creates a nice groove again. Okay, so you broke it down, and really what about, again, keep going back into just more fundamentals. I mean, music is about, you know, creating tension and releasing tension, etc. And then also a lot of times with, as far as arrangement, which I think arrangement is probably one of the most challenging things for people. Originally, for me, I fucking hated arrangement. I could do loops all day, but arranging it out was always a challenge. But yeah, you're bringing in and out elements. So you start with simple, you build it up, and you break it down, and you're taking out these elements again. In this breakdown section, well, I mean, there's only 2 elements in the whole thing, but it works because there's strong elements. I think a big fundamental thing with writing music too, or any creative craft, is like in the beginning, a lot of times people just add too much fucking shit that like doesn't need to be there, because they're overcompensating just for like shitty sounds, etc., or whatever. Where like as you when you improve and you're able to pick better sounds, even if you didn't make them, like you can do more with less. And like here, you drop into the next section, and it's just a kick and a bass line, but it works and it keeps you interested. And then you kind of bring in the components from earlier again. I start bringing in the hats and the snare this time, and then I'm dropping out this pad that was there, and then I'm bringing in the roads again, and then they kind of create a new section. So it's like you have this section, and you have this technically just two-part section, because it's just the kick, it's the pad and then the bass, and then you bring the kick in. So then it turns into 3, but it's a very minimal section. And you drop back out the roads, and you bring it back later because you remember it, and you have your bass here. And then we have a new sound again. So we brought back in our percussion, and we have this little blues guitar riff, and it sounds really great because I put a bunch of crap on it. I mean, without it, it probably sounds like shit. No, it's actually Reactor. I thought it was going to be like an Ableton stock thing. But if we take all of the stuff off, let's see how it sounds. Probably kind of bland. Yeah, it sounds like dog shit. So guitar rig is, if you're new to this kind of shit and if you don't have native instruments, like, I don't know what else out there is free that is going to be on the level of this, but I use guitar rig as like an effects unit. I don't just use it with guitars. I use it on a lot of stuff. It's amazing. And I just use the presets. I don't go like create my own effects racks. Like, I just throw it on shit and start scrolling through, and you can just turn something really bland and uninteresting into something very beautiful. It's just a really, really hypnotic guitar. Back. Let's freeze it. No. There we go. Alright, so... Fuck, I'm really tired. Is this still working? Yeah. Alright. Let's see. So we brought in our new section. Okay, so we have a section, very simple. You bring your percussion back in here, and then we add just another percussion element. Nothing changes. You just add this. It keeps the listener interested. If I didn't have this here, it would be very boring and redundant. But you just have this new sound that you like hearing, and you're like, oh, I remember that. Okay, cool, it's back. And then we drop back in. This track is, again, extremely straightforward. It just drops back out to what we did earlier. Like, you're like almost copying and pasting sections, but this time it's going to change a little bit when it drops back in. So... we leave the guitar in this section. And we bring in percussion, I guess, as well. So it's similar. It starts similar, but it's a little more advanced than the first one. Alright, we can go break down that section. And honestly, in my opinion, this song would not be any good if that bass line melody was not really fucking good there. Like, I wrote that and was like, I started this as just to fuck around, and I just had that other stuff together, and when I made that riff, I was like, okay, this is fucking good. I gotta actually finish this thing. So, again, we break down in this section. It starts very similar. Is the original break, you know, just there. That's like 2 elements, but then I bring in the percussion to kind of build it up. And and you kind of, and this is the thing, you know, you're just tricking your listener. Like, you think it's gonna go back to the same bass line, but now we have this like really aggressive melody, and it just has like a really nice groove, especially with the percussion and the kick, and it just drives the track along, which is really nice. And then also in this section, you know, because it is kind of a pickup section, we're not starting without the kick or without the snare or the hats. Like, we have all the elements in this section because we really want to push it, to kind of keep the drive and momentum going. So let's look at the bass line. And this preset just works really well with the way this bass line melody went. And I just played it on the keyboard. I was just fucking around, and I was trying to come up with something interesting. I was just like hitting keys, and then all of a sudden I just kind of was like down, 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 and like hit a note up high, and it just had this groove to it, and I kind of worked it out and played it, and then that was it, and then I had it. Let's see. I have what makes this bass interesting. We should probably go over that because I have this delay on it, which helps, I'm sure. And it's like my favorite delay. Yo. The bass is okay. The bass is pretty shitty actually without this delay on it. I made the bass good with the delay. I didn't realize how crap the preset was. It's not a good preset at all. I mean, it's really cool. It's gritty on the top, but without the delay, it just doesn't have any edge to it. Apparently, I don't even have. Oh, it's probably on here. Yeah, I have a side chain going on here. Surprised I didn't use the one pumper because it's a 4 on the floor. I don't know, but apparently I use that. This is cool. This is a Waves plugin. It's actually like an LFO that acts like a side chain, but it can only do like a 4 on the floor to the BPM of the track. You can do quarter notes, etc. Like, you can't do, if you had like a broken beat kick drum, like, it's not going to pick it up or side chain it. It just goes boom, 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 and creates a volume automation. But it's really nice because with Ableton Live, like, you can't freeze compressors with side chains on them, so you have to, like, I usually just have to put it in a group, and then I put the side chain on the group so that I can freeze to save up CPU usage. But that is the bass line. I'm sure I should have gone over that earlier because it's kind of a fundamental component of the song. So yeah, we start off, we pretty much have everything going on in here percussion wise because we want to keep it driving. At the tail end, take the kick out just to keep you interested. There is, like, I know there's like a pad that comes in and out of here that kind of grooves off the bass line. Maybe that's just the way I have this. I think it's the way I have this automated. Okay, and then I think this has to do with where do I have, I don't know how I got it to do that. That's the interesting part about this is, like, when you I don't know how I got it to kind of splash out like that. I'm assuming it's when I froze it and then moved it. It's just the way the filter was working on it. It did that, and that happens a lot. Like, if you freeze stuff and then start editing it after like this, because it's kind of technically a WAV file, you can get more interesting results that are less predictable. So that's probably why it gets that, like, kind of splash sound like at the end. And the way that it moves with the bass line really gives it a lot of character, and it picks you up too. Drives you into the next section. It just has this nice push, but it also has this floaty kind of color to it, and it really makes you feel good. And all this kind of stuff are just nuances that when you do this for long enough, you just kind of do it, but you don't even, like, think about it that you're doing it until you're, like, right now, like, breaking it down. What is this? Okay, this is a cool noise. Not sure if this is a preset or what. Okay, well, this is apparently originally a bass. How did I get to this? What did I put on here? Doesn't seem like, or it's just a really weird bass, and I used a filter on it, and that's really all it is to it, I guess. And then I probably have delay. Yeah, really what gives it the character is that you're filtering it up, so you're changing the way the sound is, and then you have these I probably have a really like long excessive delay. What I like about this delay too is it has like really high feedbacks. Trashing it just kind of makes the delay gritty too, which is really nice. And then on top of it, I'm also like adding this soft tube saturator on it, so it's adding more crunch to the sound in general, and it just gets this like really hypnotic sound to it. So that's that section. You take the kick out at the end just to like, it's like you're kind of signaling like, oh, it's gonna kind of get calmer now. And you just use some simple samples, reversed crash hat into its another crash. Oh Christ, that's actually not in there. That is not being used. That is turned off. Probably deleted it in a later version. So yeah, and then it just goes down to this next one. Really soft crashes, nothing too heavy because the song is really mellow. It's not like a fucking track you need like a huge boom or crash, or you know, the impact does not need to be excessive because it's just a smooth song. And then we have some new elements being added. What is this? Alright, so we got a chord progression with an arpeggiator. This is our new element, which, does it come in here? It might come in minimally. You can't probably hear it. It might add a little bit of like movement to the song. It might be more of like a feeling, I'm sure. And then you drop in and it starts filtering up. We add in a new bass. No, we don't. What is this? This is not used. Alright, this is probably an idea that was never used, so we'll just disregard that. So you have your arpeggio coming up. We have, and then this sound. Again, I literally had just gotten Serum when I got this, so I used Serum for a lot of stuff and just used presets just because I liked how they sounded. I probably got it like a day before I wrote this, or maybe the same day. Again, if I'm not kidding, I love this fucking delay. I use the isotope delay on it. I'm sure it's not as good with it. Yeah. Add the delay. EQ to cut out the low end. We talked about that earlier, why that's important. I have a stereo width tool on it, which makes it kind of, basically what it does is it pans it left and right and then has a delay on the one to offset them so they don't, so it sounds like they're a lot wider at the just directly across from each other. It doesn't, like, I don't remember what the exact reason behind that is. It has to do with phasing and stuff, why you would use that. But basically, if I turn this off, it's going to make it, it's going to be centered if this sound is centered. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's a lot wider and louder because it's on the sides. And this has to do like with mixing techniques. I mean, you have a finite amount of space when you're writing music, so you need to pick where your sounds are going to be. Sometimes you might just pan something to the left side or to the right side. Sometimes you might pan it left and right so it fills up the whole spectrum, but you might have it this way. It makes it really wide and out, and it's kind of out of the center of your mixing space, where like that's where my bass is, and that's probably where this is. Yeah, like there's nothing spreading this out, and it is dead center. So this is basically kind of hugging it, this sound, and this sound is above the bass, and then the bass is below it in the center, and the kick is also in the center, in the deep section. Kicks and bass, if you're new to mixing and producing, takes a long time to get good to make them work together. It's not, there's no shortcuts. You just have to develop ears and skills at it. So yeah, but they kind of like hug each other. our effect coming in again. Bring in our bass now. It's very, like, a lot of fucking effects are on this thing. God, I have it. The supercharger is kind of cool. It's oh, that's just a compressor, actually. I thought that was the other thingy. Apparently I use this filter for it. I've had this for a long time. I don't really use it very much. I don't know. There's other cooler plugins. There's like, they have this plugin that's kind of like this, but it's like a grit thing. Can't remember what it's called. I should have got that instead of this thing. Fuck, I'm getting really tired. Oh, this is like my little alright, we got delays on it, we've got saturation, we got more compression on it, and we also have, I was doing this for a while. This is like stock in Ableton. It's a resonator, and it adds like a, it adds tuned metallic sounds. Like, you can create metallic overtones on sounds, so I was just adding these on to stuff to kind of give it kind of more character. I also use this with my own like mastering reverb that I've that I've created, and I use this with it, and I like, it's not on, I can put it on here actually, fuck it, and you can kind of maybe hear the difference. I put this on my mastering chain for all my, this is on this song. This is just an older version where it probably wasn't added on, and you just tune this thing to your track, and I basically have 2 chains, and I have this reverb that goes with the resonator over it, and it basically creates a metallic reverb that's tuned to your song, because you have to, I obviously pick the song and then set these up so that they're correct, and then basically this is the wet signal and this is the dry signal. Alex, if you're still watching, wet dry, but in a totally confusing manner doing it this way. I'm using volume as my wet dry. So, and then I have my dry signal with no effects, and then I have my wet signal, and I mix them together, and then you have this like, it's very, very subtle, but it adds a lot of depth, especially after you like, after it's mastered and compressed more too, because it makes it more pop out. I also find that depending, sometimes I add it more or less depending on the song, and then like some like songs that are really, really open, then I don't have like, I have almost like nothing in it. I've used this kind of excessively, and it kind of fills in the gap and kind of gives it like this bubble. It's like in a metallic bubble kind of deal. It's I don't know how I came up with this, just from fucking around, and most of the stuff I do I've figured out by just fucking around for hours on end. So if we go into this, we got our breakdown. So we started off with our adding our new elements, our arpeggio. We have our little new stab sound that comes in. We have our effects that kind of keep the track moving, and then we bring in our bass on top of it, I think with percussion. And then everything's, you know, you can see it's filtering up. You're creating tension and excitement because things are building, you know. Then by using filters is key to doing that. Effects are key to building up to something. Very, very simple but effective use of the stuff in this song. I mean, you're filtering everything up, and then right before I'm starting to filter it down a little bit, so that, you know, you can kind of tell it's coming to an end. This still filters up though, because this is kind of almost like an effect and upsweep kind of feeling to it. But I bring down the arpeggios a little bit. I start dropping out the you're going to use your upsweep to kind of build the tension, because you know it's going to build up that it's ending, and you use your crash to start the one section again. You take out percussion at the end because it kind of frees up space, and it releases what the build up basically, so that when you come back in you have more impact. Because if I left these just on and then you just dropped in, it'd be like, it wouldn't have an impact to it. bass that's really nice comes back in, and it's really the same section as earlier, I think, except, yeah, because everything's there again. It's like copy and paste. But this time, why it's still interesting is that, again, we have a new element that keeps you there. Like, you didn't have this before. But if I just dropped into what was originally there in the first section, you as a listener would get really fucking bored. But we have a new element that you're excited about, and it was introduced in our breakdown that wasn't there before. I guess you could kind of consider breakdowns, the way I use them too, as like bridges, because my breakdowns tend to be very different sometimes, like, than what the rest of the song is. But for me, it's like you have an opportunity to add new elements and switch the song in a new direction. Or this, it's pretty straightforward, but it allowed us to bring in this new sound and then use it for the rest of the song in order to keep interest in something new and fresh for the person to experience. So yeah, again, very simple, straightforward section. You kind of have everything playing. We bring in this though, and it filters up in the next part of it just to keep interest. It's a new element, so it's like almost every... We got 8 bars. We're kind of adding a new element just to keep you interested. And then we do that for, what, 16 bars or so. And then we drop stuff out and we start over it, because if I just kept it going, it could get really boring. So yeah, I forgot, we also have this new element that we brought in that section, and we keep it playing through, and then we go back to, we break it back down. We take a bunch of shit away, take it back to the roots just to groove it out. You don't want to overkill it, so the listener's like, okay, I got it. That's really just, you have your little break there, and then you bring this element again. You have your little splash thing that I think is really interesting. I think without it, the song would be really weak. Like, there's not a lot of components in here, but they all fit so well together that if one of them was missing, it could just, the song just might not have any life to it, and it wouldn't be interesting to listen to. Like, if this splash sound wasn't in there, I might not even, would have never listened to the song more than twice or finished it. It just worked out. So then you drop back in, you got your stuff, and this is kind of like your final outro main body of the song. And then after that, you're using your up sweeps, a couple other things, and then you're dropping into your outro, and you're just kind of letting it groove out. Some delays on probably these, I think it's maybe the snares. I probably put the delay on, and you know, it's a nice float out with the pretty arpeggio, and that's it. I mean, that's the song. It's very fucking straightforward. I wish I could say it was more complicated than that, and I'm some mad scientist, but I'm not. So, any questions on here? No? Okay. Alex, questions? Are you still watching? Questions, Alex? This thing's fooling up. So yeah, well, that is the video. I'd like to do these more as I keep putting out my work. I'm sitting on some music now, but trying to find placement for them. Can't really do videos on them until I have them somewhere. Let's see, what'd you say? You rebuilding coils in your vape. All right. Well, yeah, man. Everyone else, and there's someone else watching. Not sure who is, but I don't know about fucking Periscope. But yeah, that's it. I'll do more of these. I'll make them more interesting. Maybe make down the road as I keep doing them. You can learn more, and we'll take from there. You can get track on SoundCloud from. If you're on YouTube, you could just go to the video, and you should give it a like for one, and give it some plays. And then there's a link in the notes to the SoundCloud where you can download it at through the Dugouts page. So, cool. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to stop this stream now.